Do you ever pray for miracles? One of my most respected colleagues asked me this once. You see, he'd recently been at the bedside of someone who had just heard the worst kind of news. And the realistic prayers were those that talked about comfort, about relief from suffering, about care for his family and friends. But what if my friend asked, he had wanted prayers instead for a cure, to be on the good side of long odds just this once, for an honest-to-goodness miracle? Is that false hope or true? Is faith the one who sees God working only in practical ways? Or is it the heart trained to watch for miracles? When Mary, Jesus' mother, visited her cousin Elizabeth upon receiving news of all that was about to happen, Elizabeth prayed on Mary a blessing. Blessed is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord. Mary expected God to intervene in her life and in the lives of her people. Mary expected God to remember and fulfill the promises that God had made. And tonight, as Rome called all the world to be registered, declaring their own peace, peace at any cost, peace at the cost of Mary's well-being and Joseph's and their babies, tonight, Mary expected a miracle. And I can imagine after 9 long months, it might have been a little bit hard for Mary to keep the faith, to trust that the angel wasn't a figment of her imagination and that Elizabeth's blessing still held. But after her long enough labor in a strange place, the shepherds of all people, shepherds came in with the words of a host of angels who had appeared to them, announcing good news of great joy for all people. Look, you don't leave your flocks in the fields in haste to search for a baby. Birth was a tenuous thing in the ancient world and ours today. There are no guarantees. A million things can go wrong. The shepherds didn't head to the stable to throw a baby shower for somebody's out-of-town relatives, right? They came to the manger because they expected a miracle. What about you? Can you pray for a miracle? Can you watch for it without compromise? Without succumbing to the temptation to either acquit God or make mistake self-serving desires with the hopes that can sustain a people through a long captivity, through hate and conflict and war, and through despair. Here's what I know about praying in this way. And the first thing is that sometimes it simply doesn't work. Sometimes the bad thing we are praying against still has its way. But sometimes it does work. Sometimes it works precisely because through the prayer, God has tuned my ears and my eyes and my very being in the direction of God's action in the world. Because in prayer, we store up the truth about how God works in the world and treasure them in our hearts. Because in prayer, we expect that God will fulfill God's promises. This is the kind of miracle that Christmas is. If you want to know how God works in the world, it is when an adolescent grows into the kind of adult you hope they would become, and they say yes to a vocation. It is when, outside outsiders are welcomed with dignity and care. It is when those who have given up on God find out that God never gave up on them. And yes, it is also when the heavens are wrenched open and angels sing and there's an unmistakable sign that God acted. And it's a million small things too. A place for a baby to lay his head, and a quiet night, and peace at the last. Beloved, tonight, I pray for miracles. I pray for you. I pray for cures and for new jobs. I pray for homes and for places of refuge. I pray for welcome. I pray for peace on earth, goodwill to all. I pray for good news of great joy for all people tonight and always. I pray for a Merry Christmas. Amen.